Okay, so from this table over here and from the graph over here, I want you to look at, so this is the TP graph, that's the total product graph, and this is the marginal product graph. Okay, I want you to look at these two graphs over here and tell me the relation between these two. So you think about them. Okay, take into consideration these lines that I have drawn over here. Okay, and look at the shape. Look at the shapes. Look at what is happening. I mean, when the MP is at its peak. Okay, and look at what is happening when the MP is 0. Okay, and look at what is happening when the MP is negative. So you take a look at these two shapes over here. We'll soon look at the relation between these two. Okay, but then you first think about it a little bit. Okay, and then the, the MP and the AP2. So you take a look at this. Okay, look at their numbers, and then look at the shapes. Right. So what can you tell? What can you say about? I mean the MP and the AP, the shapes. Right. So where they intersect, what can you say about them? Uh, when when is the MP increasing? When is the AP increasing? When is the AP decreasing? So you can tell me something small about the MP and then the AP. Okay, so you look at these two shapes over here and think about how these two are related. We are going to look at the relation between these two, and you think about it. So now let me start talking about the law of diminishing returns. The law of diminishing marginal returns. The law of diminishing marginal returns. But in economics, in the short run analysis, this law over here plays a very vital role. So in production, you are going to see this law. Of course, that is what we are doing. When we start talking about cost, you are going to see this law over there again in the short run analysis. When we start talking about profit, you are going to see this law over here again. And this law, you don't have to forget it. It is very, very important. Okay. So in the short run, remember that our analysis is in the short run. So we are assuming that over here, our labor is variable. That is, our labor can change, but then the capital cannot change. Okay. So the technical relationship between the inputs and then the output is provided by the law of diminishing returns. So with this, it tells us how the inputs and then the outputs of production are related. Okay, so that is what this law over here does. So let me state the law over here. So the law over here says that, so all things being equal, so all things being equal, or all things held constant, as more and more units of variable input, such as labor. Okay, so in this case, we are assuming that labor is the variable input. So as more, so let's see over here. So as more and more variable units of, as more and more units of variable inputs, such as labor, are added to one or more fixed inputs, such as the capital, the marginal product of the variable input increases, but there comes a point when it begins to decrease. So this relationship assumes that the fixed input remains fixed and that the technology of production is also fixed. So with this, all that the law over here is saying is that as more and more variable inputs, so if I continue to add more labor, okay, to my farm, with an example of the farm that I had, if I continue to employ more farmers and then I don't increase my land is the capital, so I assume the land to be capital. So if I don't increase my land and then I keep on employing more farmers, there will come a time that, in fact, at the very onset, with the examples that we saw, at the very onset, you realize that the marginal product was increasing. So I mean, when I was employing additional farmers, I was getting more total product, and the reason is because the MP was increasing. Okay, so when I keep on employing labor, when I keep on employing the farmers, my MP is going to increase. So it will increase and increase and increase and increase, and it will get to a point where now my MP will now start decreasing. Okay, so now that is all that the law is saying. So if we keep on adding a variable input to one or more fixed inputs, the marginal product, so it just talks about the marginal product. Okay, so the marginal product of the variable input increases. So the marginal product will increase, but then there will come a point when it begins to decrease, right? So it will increase to a point, we'll get to this point, and then it will start to decrease. So that is what the law states. So all other factors held constant, as more and more units of variable inputs, such as labor, are added to one or more fixed inputs, such as capital, the marginal product of the variable input increases, but there comes a time, or there comes a point where it begins to decrease. So with the example that I was citing earlier, so if I'm in a land, so this is the land, okay, and I employ this many farmers on this small piece of land. So I have a fixed land. So maybe when I employ just one farmer working on a land, it's okay. If I employ two, it's okay. But then if I begin to employ 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as many farmers on a small piece of land, I mean, you just imagine what is going to happen. Like if you have a lot of people on the land, on a small piece of land, it will get to a time that people will not even get space to be weeding. People will not be able to, do what they want, because, as you are planting, someone will be there stepping on what you are doing. Someone will just be distracting you and those things. So your marginal product, when the labor was at its initial stages, the marginal product was increasing. It got to a point. So with the example, it got to this point over here. That is the 4. When we moved from the 4 to the 5, so make reference to the table. When we moved from the 4 to the 5, now the marginal product started to decrease. So what this over here means is that now if we keep on employing more people, now the additional output that we will get from employing these people will be reducing. Okay, so if I keep on employing them, the additional units I get from them will reduce. If I keep on employing, it will reduce, and it will even get to a point that if I even employ people, I will be getting a negative marginal product. Yes. So of course, if you have a farm, and then you employ, maybe you have a small land farm, and then you employ about 200 farmers in this land, and then you ask them to work on the land. With a small land, but the farmers, when they go to work, they are going to eat. So they are going to take some of the produce over there, they eat, but then they will not be able to produce for you, because with 200 people on the same land, it is just like asking about 100 people or 100 students to sweep a classroom, and you are asking all of them to be in the classroom at the same time sweeping the room. When someone is sweeping, the other person will be talking, the other person will be making noise, the other person will be making the place dirty again. So the more the person, those who are sweeping, the place will keep on getting dirty. Okay, so if I keep on adding more and more and more labor to my capital, and I don't increase the capital, if the capital is fixed, so remember that in the short run the capital is fixed. So if my capital is fixed and I keep on employing the labor, I keep on adding labor, then the marginal product will increase. It will get to a point, and then it will start to decrease. So now that is what the law of diminishing marginal returns states. Now let's take a look at the relationship between the marginal and then the average product curves. So the first relation, when the marginal product curve lies above the average product curve. So when the MP is greater than the AP, right? So when it lies above the average product curve, the average product curve is increasing. So you can see that over here, when the MP, so this is the MP curve, right? When the MP curve was above the AP, right? The AP is increasing. Over here, it is still above it. The AP is still increasing. Over here, it is still above it. The AP is still increasing, okay? So the AP is increasing. So it is still above it. Despite the fact that now the MP over here is dropping down, but then the AP is still increasing. So you note the difference. So as far as the MP lies above the AP will keep on increasing. Okay, so that is the first thing you need to note. And when the marginal product lies below the average product curve, that is, if the MP is less than the AP, then the marginal product curve is decreasing. So another relationship, when the marginal product curve lies below the AP will be decreasing. Okay, so if the MP, this is the MP, if it is less than the AP, or if it lies below the AP, then the AP, as you can see, it is decreasing. So that is one relation between the marginal and then the average product. Now another one. So this is the number 2. So this is the number 2. This is the number 1. So this is the number 1. Now this is going to be number 3. So with the third one, the marginal product curve always intersects the average product curve when the average product is at its maximum. Okay, so the marginal product curve intersects the average product curve when the average product, so when the average product is at its maximum. So this is the maximum of the average product, and that is where the marginal product intersects the average product. So that is the third one. Okay, so the marginal product and the average product intersect at when the average product is at its maximum or at its peak. Okay, so when this is at its maximum, then the marginal product and then the average product, that is where they intersect. Now let us take a look at the relation between the marginal product and the total product curves. So first, when the marginal product is positive and increasing, the total product curve is also increasing at an increasing rate. So you take note, when the marginal product is positive and increasing, the total product is also increasing, but then it is increasing at an accelerating or increasing rate. So what this means over here is that as the marginal product over here is positive and it is increasing, the total product is going to increase, but it is not just increasing, it is increasing at an increasing rate, more than proportionate rate. Okay, so that is what the first relation over here states. And when the marginal product is positive and decreasing, so over here you take note, if it is positive, it is very important to bring the positive. So if the marginal product is positive and decreasing, the total product will be increasing, but at a decelerating or a decreasing rate. So over here, when the marginal product is decreasing, but then it is positive, the total product will now be increasing at a decelerating or a decreasing rate. So over here, it is increasing though, but then it is increasing at a decreasing rate. Okay, so that is the second relation. The third, the point where the marginal product becomes zero is the point of maximum of the total product. So that is the point where the total product is at its peak. Okay, so what this over here means is that when the marginal product is zero, so this is when the marginal product is zero, when the units for labor is 9. Okay, that is when the marginal product is zero. So when the marginal product is zero, the total product is at its maximum. So this is the maximum for the total product. Okay, it's at its peak, the peak, right, the highest point. So if the marginal product is equal to zero, so if this over here, you can see that the marginal product is zero, because over here it started from 2, 3, 4, 5, then they move on to 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, then 0. Okay, I'm reading the numbers from here. I'm reading these numbers. Okay, so now this is when it is 0, right? This 0. So when the labor is 9, you can check from the table. Okay, the table. When the labor is 9, the marginal product is 0. And when the marginal product is 0, that is when the total product is at its maximum. Okay. All right. Then finally, when the marginal product is negative, right? So when the marginal product is negative, then the total product curve will now start to decrease. So now when it is negative, so this is when it is negative, right? It is now going in a negative region. This is a negative region. And you can see that the curve is in a negative region over here. So now when the curve is in a negative region, when the MP is in a negative region, then now the total product will now start to decrease. It is now decreasing. Okay, and that is the relation between the marginal and the total product curve. Okay. All right.